Itachi is the assassin of the Uchiha clan, and Maki is the assassin of the Zenin clan. Both killed even their own father and mother, and both, to this day, remain among the most beloved characters their universes have ever produced. Why? It wasn't by chance. Kishimoto and Gege Akutami achieved something very specific in the way they constructed these characters, something that makes your brain bypass any moral judgment. And when you understand how they did it, you'll see that Itachi and Maki are, in a way, reflections of each other, a reflection far more dangerous than it seems. Itachi Uchiha was 4 years old the first time he saw war. The Third Great Ninja War was happening, and Itachi, who could barely control a single jutsu, saw up close what real conflict actually looks like. Bodies, destruction, the cost no one tells you about before a war begins. That image never left him, but the Uchiha clan saw none of that. What the clan saw was a son who at 7 graduated from the Ninja Academy in a single year at the top of his class, who awakened the Sharingan at 8, who passed the Chunin exams at 10, and who at 13 was captain of the Anbu, Konoha's Special Operations Unit. Elite ninja, the ones who exist in the shadows, handling the cases no one is allowed to know about. Captain, at 13. Every achievement became an event inside the clan's walls. Fugaku paraded his son around as proof of Uchiha superiority. Itachi wasn't just a prodigy, he was living proof that the Uchiha clan deserved the place it claimed in Konoha. He was the pride that validated everything the clan believed about itself. Maki Zenin was born, but not alone. In the world of jujutsu sorcerers, twins are considered an ill omen, a bad sign, and not just superstition. Maki and Mai, twin girls born into one of the 3 great sorcerer families of Japan, the Zenin clan. As if that weren't enough, Maki was born with a heavenly restriction, a rare condition that wiped out her cursed energy entirely. And in her world, cursed energy is what defines whether you exist at all. Without it, you can't see cursed spirits, you can't use techniques, but what really matters, you have no value to the Zenin clan, your own family. So from day one, Maki is the shame the clan would rather not have to explain, and no one bothers to hide that from her. Both grow up inside the same kind of structure, ancient, powerful clans with names that meant something and histories everyone knew. Clans that decided on their own who had value and who didn't. Itachi was the pride, Maki was the mistake, and both will end up destroying everything they came from. But how they got there, and why 2 opposite paths produce the exact same result on you, that's where this gets interesting. Stay with me. What Itachi carried beneath every achievement was a conflict no one could see. The clan was marching toward a coup against Konoha, and Itachi watched it happen. Even so, he kept playing the perfect son, because he still believed there was another way. Maki had no such illusion. The message she received was always clear and always repeated. You don't belong here, you have no value, you don't exist. But she refused to accept it. She trained, she forced a body that should have been useless to compensate through pure strength, speed, and precision. She became one of the most dangerous fighters in the clan, without having what the clan considered the bare minimum to exist. Every victory ignored, every achievement invisible. While Itachi's name was celebrated in every corner of his clan, Maki's name was treated as a disgrace. 2 powerful clans, 2 opposite roles inside them, and 2 authors building, brick by brick, something far bigger than a simple story about slaughter.
And then there were the siblings. If you'd asked Sasuke who his hero was, the answer was simple: Itachi. For Mai, it wasn't much different. Maki was strong enough for the both of them. From childhood, Sasuke imitated his older brother, always chasing after him, wanting to learn the same jutsu, go on the same missions, be just like him, the way every younger sibling does. Itachi spent time with Sasuke, always taught him with patience, always showed up when his brother needed him. And when he couldn't be there, he left behind one small gesture, but one that stuck. He poked Sasuke's forehead with 2 fingers. It was his way of saying, "It's not your time yet, but one day it will be. I'm with you until then." Sasuke hated the gesture as a kid, but it was everything Itachi had to give. Sasuke was one of the main reasons Itachi kept believing there had to be another way, one that didn't end in war. Mai and Maki's love was something else entirely. Growing up, Mai was the scared one. Unlike Maki, she had cursed energy, which meant she could see cursed spirits, something terrifying for any child. But it was Maki who stayed by her side, who never backed down. The pain of being despised, of being treated like a mistake, wasn't carried by just one of them. It was carried by both. They only had each other. At some point, still children, Mai asked Maki to never let go of her hand. Maki said she wouldn't, that they were sisters and they would stay together. For Mai, that was a promise. No matter how deep the hole, she would never be alone. And the hole was being treated as servants by their own clan. Women, twins. Serving was the most they could ever be inside the Zenin, and in the clan's eyes, they should be grateful for even that. Mai didn't see it as such a problem. She had Maki, but Maki couldn't accept it, so she left. She couldn't keep living under the authority of a family that treated her like garbage. She had to go, because she would have hated herself for the rest of her life if she'd stayed. But she also left Mai behind. With Maki gone, the clan turned its eyes on both of them. The lives of two were going to be made harder by the choice of one. Mai was forced to become a sorcerer, a job she hated, a life she never chose. And Maki knew. She left anyway. Mai resented her for it, for years. So they said they hated each other, and it hurt, because deep down they still loved each other. In both cases, the sibling is the heart of the story, but in completely opposite ways. One chose the massacre and saved his brother. The other survived the massacre and lost her sister. Sasuke was the only one saved. Mai was the only one Maki couldn't save. Two absolute opposites. And now that you understand where they came from and what they loved, we need to talk about how the massacres actually happened.
Itachi knew exactly what was happening and exactly what was at stake. The Uchiha clan wanted to stage a coup. The Leaf knew and was ready to fight. Two options: a civil war with countless dead and wounded, or eliminating his own clan. There was no good choice, only the least terrible one. Itachi made the impossible choice. That night, he found someone who operated in the shadows and called himself Madara and struck one final deal: help carrying out the massacre in exchange for sparing Konoha and Sasuke. In a single night, every Uchiha was gone. Cold, calculated, every step rehearsed. Itachi didn't break down. He did what he had decided, and then he went to Sasuke. He used the Tsukuyomi to force his brother to relive the massacre over and over, told him he was too weak to be worth killing, that he should grow up, get stronger, and one day come for him. He gave his brother a reason to live, and then he disappeared. Maki didn't have to make an impossible choice. The opposite, actually. At a decisive moment for the Jujutsu sorcerers, she stepped up alongside the other students and went to claim something that was rightfully hers, the weapons of the Zenin clan. Not because she was the leader, but because she had authorization and she had the keys. Ogi Zenin, her own father, was not going to allow that. When she reached the vault, her sister, Mai, had already been defeated by her father. Maki fights, but loses. Ogi took them to the detention center, a place inside the clan's compound designed to break anyone who entered, filled with cursed spirits even experienced sorcerers wouldn't go near. The plan was simple and brutal: kill his own daughters. It would raise his standing with the clan's higher-ups, but more than that, he wanted to be rid of something he'd always believed was holding him back. That was it. He was willing to kill his own daughters. Maki was unconscious, and Mai looked at her sister, the same one who had promised never to let go of her hand and then left. But Mai didn't leave. She used what was left of her cursed energy to create one last weapon, and told her sister what both of them already knew in silence. In the world of Jujutsu, the greater the restriction, the greater the power. But Maki's restriction had never been complete, because Mai had cursed energy. As long as she existed, Maki's heavenly restriction would never reach its absolute limit. She was the one thing holding Maki back from becoming something beyond human, and she chose to let go. with one request: destroy everything. Everything. Maki wakes up. Zero cursed energy, full physical potential, the most dangerous body that world could ever produce. She walks out of the detention center, finds her father, and splits him in half. Clean, no effort, no remorse. Then she moves through the rest of the clan. The strongest warriors of the Zenin, men who had spent decades reaching that level, fall in front of a woman the clan decreed didn't exist. And then she meets Naoya. Naoya Zenin had spent his entire life convinced he was the future of the clan, the next head, the strongest of his generation. He looked down on everyone, and he looked down on Maki most of all. To him, she wasn't just beneath him, she was an insult to the Zenin name itself. Naoya's curse technique let him perceive the world at 24 frames per second, speed beyond what any normal sorcerer could follow. He'd spent years convinced that this made him untouchable. He throws everything he has at Maki. She doesn't even need to move. His best blows land on a body that doesn't register them as threats. Then she hits him. Once, and his confidence cracks. Twice, and the Naoya Zenin who looked down on the entire world starts to understand what's actually standing in front of him. By the time she's done, the man who saw himself above everyone is on the ground. Broken, no clever line, no final stand. Just the look of someone who finally understood the universe never owed him what he assumed it did. That moment, the one the audience had been waiting for since Naoya first opened his mouth, Gege gives you in full. No restraint, no mercy. Just collapse. And Maki keeps going. The rest of the Zenin fall the same way. No visible rage, no speech. Just the execution of a request from the only person who had ever truly loved her. The mirror becomes clear here. Itachi destroyed his clan to protect something. His brother, the village, a future he still believed was possible. Maki destroyed her clan because her clan destroyed everything she loved. Same act, polar opposite motivations. And this is exactly where both authors make you abandon your own morality.
After that night, Itachi disappeared from the spotlight. He joined the Akatsuki, an organization that was beginning to form in the shadows of the ninja world. S-rank, wanted, public enemy of Konoha in everyone's eyes, a renegade. Except, it was the exact opposite. Itachi was inside the Akatsuki as a spy, monitoring the organization's every move from within, protecting Konoha without anyone knowing, including the brother being raised to kill him. But there was one thing Itachi couldn't control. He was getting sick, a respiratory illness that had started consuming his body even before the massacre. He kept himself standing with medication. Every mission, every confrontation, every public appearance was a man living at the absolute limit of what his body could still endure. Kishimoto never gave that illness a specific name, but you don't need a name to understand what it represents. A body collapsing under the weight of carrying too much. Itachi carried the massacre, the secret, the mission, the villain's mask, the love for a brother who needed to hate him. All of it in silence for years while his body gave out, little by little. He died the way he planned. In the final battle against Sasuke, who had spent years training for that exact moment, Itachi was already dying. Not from his brother's blows, from the illness that never stopped. In his final moment, still standing, he walked over to Sasuke and poked his brother's forehead with 2 fingers. The same gesture as always. This time, it was goodbye. He died in the arms of a brother who didn't know the truth. Maki was set free by the massacre of the Zenin clan. While Itachi came apart, Maki became more. Faster, stronger, cleaner, and paradoxically more free than she had ever been inside the clan that created her. Without the weight of belonging to something that never wanted her. Without the need to prove her worth to people who were never going to see it anyway. Maki walked out of that massacre as something the Zenin clan could never have imagined producing. But it cost her. Mai was gone, the only person who had truly loved her, the sister who suffered when Maki chose to leave, and who in the end gave everything she had to make sure Maki could keep going. Itachi came apart from carrying too much. Maki became more because she lost everything. 2 opposite paths after the same act, and both arrived at the same place. A loneliness you feel right alongside them, and that's exactly why you can't bring yourself to condemn them. Because you understand Itachi and what he carried, because you understand Maki and what she lost. And that's exactly where the question in the title starts to make real sense. Why do we love clan killers?
In Itachi's case, Kishimoto did something very specific. He controlled the order of the information. You saw the massacre before you understood the reason. You felt the shock, the betrayal, the rage, and then, much later, the truth came out. But the truth didn't erase the massacre, it reframed it. What looked like cruelty was sacrifice. What looked like abandonment was protection. What Sasuke called hatred was the closest thing to love that universe could produce. Itachi isn't loved in spite of what he did. He's loved because of it. Because the massacre didn't erase the love. The massacre proved the love. In Maki's case, Gege did something different, and maybe more honest. He didn't have to hide anything. You knew from the very first chapter that the Zenin clan was cruel, unjust, and deserved exactly what it got. So when Maki destroyed everything, it was satisfying. A part of you wanted to see it happen, and Gege delivered exactly that. No remorse, no philosophical justification, just the perfect execution of a revenge the viewer had already decided was justified. Maki doesn't need to be a hero. She is our revenge. You might tell yourself you understood them, that you saw past the act and reached the person, and maybe you did, but the unsettling part is, even now, knowing exactly how it was built, it still works on you, because they're still monsters, and they did it in opposite ways. Kishimoto made you admire. Gege made you feel the revenge was justified. Two mechanisms, same result. You can't bring yourself to hate them. And now you know exactly why and how two authors arrived at the same place through opposite paths. That's the inverted mirror. And once you understand how they built this, you'll never watch either of them the same way again.